Alrighty, so the big headline yesterday was Lionel Messi coming to MLS, and even though I know he have said that he is committed to come to Miami, it's important to note that it is not official. They're still working on the contract negotiation that is going on, which I'll talk a little bit more about it in the news of the week episode after this review. Which, speaking of which, just a reminder, yesterday there was MLS games that was happening. There was the makeup game between FC Dallas versus St. Louis. Well, not really a makeup game, but more like a game to resume after it stopped in the 50th minute last month. And then we also had LAFC versus Atlanta United and a couple of U.S. Open Cup game and Canadian Championship game that we'll talk more about in the news of the week episode. But first of all, in this game between Dallas and St. Louis, like I said, this game took a month to play because last month this game stopped in the 50th minute. Now, I was hoping that Apple TV will still have the full game for this one because I wasn't able to watch this game as this was part of a long list of games that was on at the same time because of the busy Saturday night action. But apparently Apple TV only showed the last 40 minutes of this game. Now, fortunately, on the league website, they did put some highlights of the first 50 minutes of this game. So, I was still able to watch the highlights of it. And then I was able to watch the full last 40 minutes of this game, which, in the end, Dallas was able to be better in the last 40 minutes of this game and get the 2-0 win. And what I was kind of surprised by St. Louis in this game is that they didn't really press as ferociously, I fought in the last 40 minutes, because we know that St. Louis, they play that energy drink soccer. They love to press, and knowing the fact that they only have to do it for 40 minutes, I thought they would really suffocate this Dallas team on the press, and it just didn't show in this one. Though early on, and this is going all the way back in May in terms of the first half, Parker would heads it wide from the corner as there was really not much happening as the shots were only 2-0 through 15 minutes. Vasilev then hits one right to pass before the first shot for Dallas came as O'Brien would hit it straight to Berkey. Vasilev then pulls it wide from close, and then Jesus hits it wide from the corner, and chances were starting to come for both of these teams to get the opening goal at least early on. Jimenez then hits one right to Berkey, but we do head to halftime with this game scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, Quignon would hit it high from close range, but 2 minutes later, this is when the game basically was paused because of the lightning delay, and it never resumed until yesterday. It was suspended at 50 minutes and 1 second, and again, the game just resumed yesterday. I mean, it was kind of weird seeing the fact that the game resumed at 50 minutes and 1 second, and especially resumed right as the stoppage of play, of course, has happened. And again, this also isn't the first time I've seen this happen. We saw last season too between Columbus and Charlotte how they resumed the game after it was paused for 8 minutes, and then also last year in the U.S. Open Cup, we saw Minnesota and Colorado. The game was stopped, and then they would resume Zoom the very next day. But still, it was kind of weird to see how that is. And they also had the exact same commentator for this game. Both Tony Husband and Ross Smith was commentating this game, and I was wondering, are they gonna do the same thing in this one too? Yes, they are, and so is pretty much almost the entire starting 11, because there is a rules that you can't change your starting 11 just because the game of course resumed. Though the exception, of course, is if some of these guys were injured, and I think there was only like two players that was injured, and that they had to replace them because of that. Though that being said, in the 57th minute, the first shot since the restart did see pass denying Leuven from close. As I thought Dallas had most of the possession since the restart, but I thought it was by design because St. Louis, they don't like to use the possession. They're more of a team that likes to press and trying to take advantage of mistake from opposition. But I thought Dallas was pretty comfortable in terms of keeping possession. But the problem is they couldn't really create much on the St. Louis backline, and this was a kind of a thing that was interesting to see that because there's only 40 minutes left in this game. Who is going to be the one that will establish the game and started to press to get the opening goal? Because they only have 40 minutes to potentially find themselves the opening goal, or if this game is going to end scoreless. And I thought Dallas were the one that at least at times tried to do so. Though that being said, Leuven did fire one into the side netting on the free kick for the first shot for Dallas since the restart. Saw Fiera heads it wide in the 76th minute, but then 4 minutes later he would be on target as he scored here from O'Brien and though, on a lightning counter attack there for Dallas. And then 9 minutes later, this game was put to bed as Marco Farfan would score from Jimenez and Ferreira to make it 2-0 in favor of Dallas. By the way, after when Dallas got the opening goal, St. Louis did try to press back to get the equalizer, but as that second goal goes in, that was pretty much all said and done. And yeah, in the end, only took a month for this game to complete, but Dallas was able to get the win, and it was kind of a worth away if you're a Dallas fan against St. Louis with a 2-0 win. Shots in this one, 8 shots compared to 16 that St. Louis had, but only 3 shots on goal compared to 4 that Dallas had. Again, just because you have double the amount of shots on net, if you don't win the shots on goal battle, more times or not, you're probably not going to win the game. 5 shots off target for the 3 that Dallas had. Well, actually, I say that, and then we'll get to this game of how crazy it was in terms of the stats line. But 8 shots that was blocked for the 1 that Dallas had, and possession wise, 47% possession compared to 53% possession that St. Louis has in this game. And again, for Dallas, a big win for them. But for St. Louis, again, I'm kind of surprised that Bradley Cardinal didn't really press as well as what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it feels like there was just some sort of disconnect in terms of the pressing. Though again, it maybe has a little bit due to the fact that we talk about fixture congestion and how this has to suck for both of these teams. The fact that they already play a lot of games right now, and now they have to play this game that they're not even going to be playing the full 90 minutes. They're just playing the final 40 minutes. Maybe that kind of throw off in terms of the mindset for both of these teams. But in the end, Dallas, of course, were able to get those 2 important goals, and again, big 3 points for them because not a lot of the team lately has been able to get points from St. Louis, and that that will definitely help Dallas cases as I think they're now moving up to third place in the Western Conference. Now, moving on into the next game is LAFC versus Atlanta United, or shall I say LAFC versus Brad Guzan, because this simply was the Brad Guzan show, and Brad Guzan, in the last game there was a lot of question that is he completely washed up because of the performance that he had against New England, giving up some of those soft goals, but in this game, not only he made up for it, but he did, and then some. Now, early on, there was a lot of possession early for Atlanta, but this might be by design because LAFC was elected to sit back and counter. And again, LAFC, the big question coming into this game is that it's only been 3 days since that heartbreaking CCL second leg final loss. You just wonder, are their mindset going to be up for this game? And little do we know that, yeah, they were definitely up for this one. But I also thought that there's been sloppy giveaway from Atlanta, which would be a storyline in this one. They just had a lot of problem in terms of turning the ball over in their own half, and LAFC is the last team you want to do to try to give those sloppy giveaway because LAFC is a team that feast on those sloppy giveaways and potentially punish their opposition. Though Amada did have the first shot of the game as he puts it high from close range, and then the first shot for LAFC, see Bawanga hits it right to Guzan, and then Guzan would rob Bush from point blank. Little do we know that was just the beginning of him just kind of becoming a wall in this one and was just not allowing anything past his net in this one. But I also thought that there's no doubt LAFC has got into this game again. I think the reason why it was kind of a bit of a slow start is because of that loss that they had on Sunday, and it has to take a very, very mentally and physically toll on this LAFC team. But you can see that Steve Cherundolo and this squad is started to realize that that's now in the past. There's nothing we can change that. Now we're gonna be solely focused on this game and lead play, and they were pressing to try to get the opening goal. There was a shout for a handball for LAFC that was not given. I thought there was also some physical challenge from both teams. I mean, there was some really crunching challenge for both of these teams. Something similar that you would thought that this would be a rivalry game with some of these crunching challenge that was made. Though Cefuntes did fires it high before Guzan denied Opoku from close. Opoku then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide, and then Guzan would deny Bogish again. And this time, he actually came off his lines on it and didn't get to it. Now, as much as Guzan was very impressive in this one, there was time where he kind of showcased of the problem that he had in the last game, where those indecision that he has, where he made the bad decision coming off his lines here, and and that he didn't get to it and was almost punished for it. But fortunately, he made amends of it when Bogusz trying to hit into the empty net, and Guzan was able to deny that. And again, it was all LAFC up to this point. They were ramping up more pressure. Atlanta was just scrambling at the back. I mean, they're pretty much praying that they can head this one to 0-0 so they can regroup heading in the second half. Though Guzan would then deny Cefuntes on the free kick, and we had to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. And if you think Atlanta might have been able to get a chance to catch their break and regroup heading into the second half, no, that didn't turn out. It was the case because LAFC immediately press for the lead again. Palacios with fires it high from long range, and then Cefuntes would puts it high after again Guzan came off his lines, didn't get to it, and I immediately bro. As much as Guzan was making some big save in this one, he also been very wild in this one. Again, some of those decisions that he's been making coming off his lines has been poor, and he's pretty much very fortunate the fact that he hasn't been punished up to this point. Bogusz then puts it high from long range before Bawanga would heads it just wide. Again, it's been all LAFC. But the question is, can they find that clinical finishing and can they solve Guzan? Because up to this point, they simply has no answer in terms of being able to beat Guzan. And that included the 58th minute when he denied Bawanga after another terrible giveaway from Atlanta. Again, you just sensing they are close of getting the opener because LAFC, they will continue to push forward. They even bring on more firepower as Vela and Buke was summoned into this game. And then in the 60th minute, really the first action that Vela has, uh, he basically met Guzan and basically realized what and his team was into because he robbed Vela there in the 60th minute. No, again, that goal wouldn't have counted because the flag went up, and again, it wouldn't have counted in terms of being a save. But again, just a little reminder to Vela and his company that yeah, Guzan was not allowing anything go past his net. And again, as wild as Guzan has been, he's the only reason this is 0-0. Like Atlanta, they were turning the ball over way too much in their own half, and they just also been completely overwhelmed in the midfield and in the defensive end. Every time when Guzan takes the goal kick, just basically turned over right back to LAFC. It was just wave after wave of pressure that LAFC was putting in. Bawanga then puts it wide in the back post before Guzan would rob Bawanga from point blank in the 60th minute. I mean, if it wasn't for Guzan in this one, this could have been easily 4 or 5-0 in favor of LAFC, and that's not even exaggerating. Though in the 70th minute, this was the chance for LAFC to finally solve Guzan, as a penalty was given to LAFC after Parata brought down Vela in the box. So Vela basically steps up from the penalty spot, hoping to solve Guzan. And while the penalty was about to take in, you can see that Guzan was showing some sportsmanship. Basically, was trying to get into Vela head, and I'll tell you what, it worked because Vela kind of looked rattled a little bit as he was taking the penalty spot and kind of second guess himself. And because of the fact that he second guessed himself, Guzan was able to deny Vela from the spot. But, but there was a problem because Guzan came off his lines there. So VAR basically saw that the penalty was retake. But again, it seems like Guzan has got into Vela's head, and Vela's kind of started to get second guess himself. And then on the second attempt of the penalty, Vela blasted high from the spot. I mean, you can clearly see that Vela, he's completely rattled by Guzan, and whatever Guzan said to Vela has kind of just lost all confidence of Vela. And I also thought that at that point, this is just it was going to be one of those games for LAFC. I feel like it was just like what I've said before in 2021, where remember this was an LAFC team in 2021 repeatedly has been dominating in games but unable to put one in the back of the net, and it seems like it's one of those games again. And I also thought that moment when Vela blasted high too, LAFC is not going to get a goal in this one. I mean, you can clearly see that when you have so many opportunity and you're unable to put it away, it's going to start to really get in the heads of the players that it's just not going to be their day, and they just ran into a goalkeeper that just refused to be beaten. And that's seems like what was kind of the case. But at the same time, I also fought for Atlanta. As great as the goalkeeper has been bailing them out time after time, this is a big opportunity to steal one. I mean, this is a big opportunity to have maybe one or half chances for them to steal one against LAFC. Though in the 82nd minute, Bawanga would hit one right to Guzan, and then in the 83rd minute, this was the one chance I was talking about for Atlanta to steal it. As Fortune would miss an absolute sitter on the front post, and that was Atlanta's first shot since the 8th minute. And it's safe to say that that was not so fortunate for Fortune there. I know you knew that was coming. I mean, you knew I had to make a bit of a joke about that, but again, that was the moment for Atlanta to score, and again, that what actually turns out to be the last chance that Atlanta has had, because that also kind of was a wake up call for LAFC that, yeah, as frustrated that they have to keep concentrating on their defensive shape and not allow Atlanta to get another chance that they could potentially steal one in this game. There was then a shout for a handball as Bawanga actually hits the post, and the ball actually redirect off to Miles Robinson. Now, I think that was the right call, because when you look on the replay, I think Taylor 12 mentioned a couple of times that it hits the stomach of Robinson. And when I look at it a couple of times, I don't think it actually hits the stomach. I think it hits the thigh of him and then hits his hand. I think that would have been a very harsh penalty to be given. I mean, that's we've seen that happen before, and I mean, I have seen sometimes it's been given a penalty, but I always thought it was harsh because of the way that, what can you do? Like, it would the ball hits your feet first and then bounce off of your hand. I mean, unless your hand is not completely outstretched, which I think for Robinson in that case it was borderline. I mean, it was getting to a point where that hand definitely looked like it was a little bit outstretched, but at the same time, again, I think in the end they make the right call there, and that would be incredibly harsh if you give that as a penalty. But then again, this is MLS, and what is a handball is definitely a big question that's been asked for really this season, and really for the past couple of season, and it's going to be the case for ever, because of the indiscretion of, well, what is handball and what is not. In the 90th minute, Buke would hits the side netting before, in the first minute stoppage time, or in the 11th minute stoppage time, sorry, Bawanga would blast it high as the full time whistle was sound, and I think that was probably the most fitting ways for this game to end, with Bawanga fires it high, and a fitting way for LAFC, just a very frustrating night at home, not able to get the result against Atlanta United. And the shots basically tells the story. 22 shots compared to just 4 that Atlanta has. No shots on goal for the 8 that LAFC had. 12 shots off target for the 3 that Atlanta United has. One shot that was blocked for the 2 that LAFC had. And possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. I mean, if you're an LAFC fans, I think the only positive you can say is that this team definitely shows some good mentality in terms of, they could have easily just lay down. Like, if they did not perform very well, they could at least use the excuse of that Sunday crushing defeat against Leon and CCL. But no, they show some good mentality in this one. Really, they fought hard in terms of trying to get the opening goal, but unfortunately they just ran into Brad Guzan, who, again, this was probably the best game that I've seen Brad Guzan has played in a very long time. Some vintage Brad Guzan kind of performance in this one, and that, yeah, for Atlanta, very fortunate for them to walk away with the result, because if they would have lost this one, there would have been once again a lot of question from Atlanta United fans, especially when you're facing against an LAFC team that's just fresh off of a heartbreaking loss in CCL, and you have the advantage knowing the fact that LAFC may be still feeling the after effects of that loss that they had. Yeah, it would not be a great result for Atlanta if they would have lost this one. But again, Brad Guzan saved them in this one, and that, honestly, I think after this game, it is pretty clear that I think all the Atlanta players probably and the fans maybe owe an apologies to Brad Guzan after the last game, because, like I said, after a poor game he had against New England, he made up for it and then some in this game against LAFC. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for my review of both of these games. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of both of these games, as we're once again going to have a full slate of weekends action. And I believe, knowing the fact that LAFC, they're pretty much going to be now playing every single midweek, because they're trying to make up some of these games. In the middle of the week, you're going to hear me talk about LAFC, of course, playing. Or actually, I've say that, but I know there's gonna be, or actually no, that's next week. I'm thinking of a week in where there's actually not gonna be a full slate of action. I think that's actually the on the 17th that of course is happening. But again, LAFC, I think they're back at it again, and in the weekends action, and also in the middle of the week because of just so many games that they have to made up. And as much as this one hurts because they did everything to try to get the win, I think there's got to be some positive coming out of this one, knowing the fact that this team, they have already moved past that CCL disappointment in the past, and now they're more hungry than ever before, trying to get themselves back at the top of the Western Conference. But like I said, there you have it. That is pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.